Welcome to episode 48 of the Career Breakthrough Series. I'm your host, Paul Ames, and thanks so much for tuning into the show. And to show your amazing support, please don't forget to subscribe, rate and review to allow me to bring more incredible guests like Jimmy onto the show. So, if you're a parent like myself, I'm sure you've already heard of this amazing kids entertainer and kids show host, Jimmy Rees, aka Jimmy Giggle from the hit ABC show, Giggle and Hoot. So Jimmy, along with his Our Pals, are a hit TV show on ABC, which my kids absolutely love, and I'm sure many of yours do as well. So Jimmy managed to beat out 5,500 auditioners to go get the role for Jimmy Giggle on the hit TV show. Jimmy shares with us some incredible insights into the industry and some of his best career advice and mental roadblocks he's had to work through personally. This is such a powerful interview, and it's really exciting to talk to Jimmy, as my kids watch his stuff every single day. So without further ado, let's get into the episode, guys. I'm sure you'll love this one. Guys, welcome to another episode of the Career Breakthrough Series. I'm your host, Paul Ames, and if you've got kids like myself, I'm sure you'll all be familiar with this amazing guest and kids entertainer, Jimmy Giggle, aka Jimmy Rees. Jimmy's the amazing host of Giggle and Hoot, a hit ABC Kids TV show. He inspires kids around Australia, and my kids are glued to your show, Jimmy. It's absolutely amazing. I was just saying to my wife just before we jumped on the interview, we were on TV as well. So I really appreciate your time and coming on the show, mate. Thank you.
No worries. I must have got here quick and grown a beard real fast.
I know, it's pretty amazing what you can do with your time in the Gigamobile.
Yeah, it's super fast, that Gigamobile.
Well, Jimmy, I'd just love to touch on, I know you, Jimmy, I should have said this in the first place. So Jimmy actually beat out 5,000 people in his audition for the role of Jimmy Giggle. Well, I'd love to find out what actually inspired you to start the character Jimmy Giggle, or what were the big creative forces behind Jimmy Giggle?
Yeah, well, I went through this open call audition that the ABC was doing, and it was for a host of different jobs, really. There was stuff on ABC 3, which is ABC Me Now, and Giggle and Hoot was actually something that was starting up, and all the auditionees didn't really know about it, but they share the same executive producer. And once they'd gone through those 5,500, videos, the guys at Giggle and Hoot were like, can you send us some videos? Because we're trying to find talent just in Sydney, and we're sort of just doing the traditional audition process. And the casting director went, yeah, I think I've got a few videos that we can send you. Well, I did a couple of auditions with the ABC, and then, my audition tapes got sent over to Giggle and Hoot, which was just next door. They shared the same office. And so I got plucked out of those 5,000 sort of thing, and then got whittled down into the Giggle and Hoot auditions, and then and did a couple of auditions with them, and then got the job. So it was kind of right place, right time. I thank that that casting director who plucked my little DVD out of all those videos. She had to watch them all. Yeah, I didn't.
Wow. Oh man, what a mission that would have been, going through 5,500 videos.
I know.
Oh my God.
Crazy. But then it got, I got the job, and it was very exciting. Moved to Sydney and to start this crazy journey. And I hadn't done anything in professional television before, and it was all a bit of a whirlwind. And you mentioned the character Jimmy Giggle and what sort of what creative forces came in there. Well, I don't know, they were still the production team was still figuring out Giggle and Hoot, and they hadn't cast Hoot yet. They hadn't finished building Hoot yet. They hadn't finished the set. They had a great idea of what it was going to be like. So I came in quite early in the piece, which was great because I got to sit around and watch those guys work, and amongst doing costume fittings and all that sort of stuff and getting ready for the show. But it's sort of grown over, it's 8 years now. It's grown over that. And if you look at the first episodes, it's wildly different to what it is now. It was all a bit sort of play school, if you like. It was a bit sort of like toned back, and it was a bit more traditional kids TV show. But now it's gone a little bit crazy, and it is what it is today, which is this sort of world of creativity and songs and music and playfulness and the sort of friendship between Jimmy Giggle and the Owls and all that. So it's been a bit of a crazy journey, and to think 8 years, it's been nuts.
Yeah, definitely. And I've noticed over the recent all the new characters that have been brought on board, like Giggle Fang and Hoot Pa and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool to see how it's transforming and that. So just touching on that, thanks for sharing, Jimmy. I appreciate that. But just to touch on your previous careers, so what actually sparked the journey of wanting to get involved in media and television and, the creative arts. What actually got you interested in that journey from a young age?
Yeah, I always did drama and theatre studies and stuff at school, and I kind of looked up to my older brother. Actually, he did a few. We went to a private school which had a great sort of theatre sort of program there, and they did a musical theatre show every year, and it had quite good production values. So it was they didn't do it sort of half-assed. They went all in and did it and did it properly. So he started singing and getting roles in those shows when at high school, and yeah, I guess I followed him onto the stage, and I did a few shows with him, and then I really, really enjoyed it. But previous to that, I think I always liked making people laugh, and I was a bit of the the larrikin in the family, and my mum and dad are always great at harbouring that sort of craziness, they were always encouraging of being silly and funny. And my dad's a dag, and my mum's very loud, so that's where that sort of comes from. And I was sort of the only one who's followed it through, really, being a bit of an idiot on television. But yeah, that's sort of, there was probably a moment there when I saw my older brother up on the stage, and I thought, I think I'd really like doing that. And I joined I joined all the theatre stuff, and I really loved it. And it was kind of a bit of a moment to think, oh yeah, maybe I could do this for a living. I think I was in denial a while, because it's a bit of a strange thing to think, or for me it was anyway, where the school was very academic, and that was great, but it's kind of like you had to do well, in your English and maths and all that stuff too. And a career in theatre and stuff, even though it had a great theatre program, was kind of not the main thing, I guess, as it is in, I think, a lot of schools. But it's kind of like, it's one of those things where if you know what you want to do, you got to just kind of do it. And even for the years after I finished school, I thought, I really want to do this, but I went to uni and did sort of media arts, and I didn't really enjoy studying again and stuff like that. I really just wanted to be performing, and television always interested me. I just didn't know how to go about it, and I kind of felt I needed something like the auditions that came across for the ABC, and I was in the right spot at the right time and did the right audition, and I think it kind of leapfrogged me that sort of hard slog of what a lot of actors and people trying to get into the performing arts go through, audition after audition and rejection after rejection. But I kind of got lucky, and it was one of my first auditions. I kind of got a job, which was great. But I kind of had to, in myself, I had to realize that that's really what I wanted to do. I had to really go for it. And lucky I found something kind of fast. But yeah, there was sort of umming and ahhing a bit of like, do I just sort of go into some other job or something a bit more stable or whatever. But that's not what the performing arts is about. It's definitely not stable. Exactly. I'm lucky I found a stable job, which is good.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was going to touch on that as well, because obviously, like with my business, I've got my own career counselling business and helping people like resumes and cover letters. And, one of the biggest things, I've worked with a few actors or people trying to break into the industry. And I think that's one of the biggest struggles is, trying to gain employment in it on a full-time basis, or trying to level up to where they want to get to. And a lot of them obviously go through a lot of negative emotions and pitfalls and stuff like that. So in saying that, what do you feel, I know you said you got into it from your first audition, which was really cool, but what do you feel would be some of the biggest mental roadblocks you've had to overcome in the rest of your career that have helped you progress to where you are currently?
Look, I think it's, you got to sort of just be true to yourself and know that you want to do that. And there can be, and you see it all the time, is where like you've always got to have a job to get the money and and support yourself, even if it's just you in a little 1-bedroom apartment wherever, But unfortunately, the performing arts is kind of like, stuff happens on a whim. There's your agent calls, there's an audition tomorrow, you've got to be there. And if you've got a job, it's hard to then go, so finding a flexible sort of income and doing it like that. But that's hard. And that's one of the things where I think people they really want to do acting, or they really want to do performing arts, but they just work a lot and they end up not. Yeah, which is it has to be a good balance. It's hard to find a job. Hospitality is one of those jobs where people go, oh yeah, I can do it just on the weekends or whatever. And it's, it's sort of quick, easy sort of money, I guess, to support yourself. But then you don't want to, so it's kind of hard. And I think, I think I sort of realized that I was working full time at a bar, you know, and at a restaurant, and I had to say to myself and my girlfriend, who's now my wife, but I said, like, I really want to do this, and I have to quit my job. I can't do that. So that was a bit of a roadblock to get through, just to think, all right, I really want to do this, and I've really got to kind of have some sort of, you know, happy medium of working and getting, you know, and supporting yourself and going to these auditions and doing what you want to do. The other thing I found in recent years is that Giggle and Hoot is a fantastic job, and I'm very, very lucky, and I'm very grateful to have it. But it's not every single day. It's not like what it seems. It's 3 days a week. It's really, it's become easy for me now, and I absolutely adore it, and I love it. And there's lots of other things that come with Giggle and Hoot. We do tours and stuff like that. But
yeah, for sure.
I think there's always something in the back of my mind that, you know, it's not in my control whether the show goes on. So I think having had a job, even though it seems that it's all going great, it's been 8 years strong now, if that ended tomorrow, all my eggs are in that basket. So it's kind of, you've got to keep having something. So in the recent years, I've started a little production company where we've done some 360 video and some traditional video as well. And it's just keeping the fires burning elsewhere, you know, like, and I think you could probably start that from an early age anyway, you know, like, even if you've got that, you know, weekend job and you're going to all the auditions you can, and you've got a little videography business or something, if that's what you're interested in, or you're helping the community out, helping out the local productions, because it's one of those industries as well where you don't know who you're going to meet and when, and it might just be that leg up you need, or that one person who walks past and goes, hey, that person's really useful and really helpful, and you might start off somewhere else, but then you end up meeting someone else, and it's a crazy sort of industry. So even if you're behind a camera or helping out with sound or whatever it is, like, I think just getting involved in the industry is very helpful in getting the job that you want in the industry.
Definitely. Thanks so much for sharing that insight, Jimmy. Yeah, it's great to know that, and completely agree with you. So just touching on that same aspect, so we've all got a really positive trait, a positive habit that's helped us achieve success in our current life. We've also got a really hindering habit that's kind of stopped us breaking through that next level. What do you feel would be your most positive trait or habit that's helped you achieve the success you've currently got? And what would be, on the flip side, your most hindering habit or trait? Yeah,
I think the most hindering thing is probably that, you call it laziness or whatever, or that, I'm in a good job, I'll just go along and ride the roller coaster, you know. But if that roller coaster ends, you know, then what do you do? So I think that is just the biggest thing, which you got to keep going and going and going. And yeah, I think it's hard to keep motivation to do that. It's very hard, and I'm the worst at it. You know, like, I go to the gym for a week and then I'm over it. You know, but it's the hardest thing. If you could bottle it and sell it, you'd be a schoolie now. But
yeah, for sure.
Exactly. But I think that's the biggest hindrance is sort of getting off your butt and doing it. And, you know, and even if it's not paid or it's not where you want to be, like I said before, it's the people you meet and the experiences you have within the community that then you might get that next push to the next thing. So yeah, I think complacency and the lack of motivation to try and find your next job, or just and enhance your your experiences within, you know, an industry is the hindrance. And the positive thing, I think, is just be nice to everyone, you know, like, not that you know, that comes naturally to me, but, you know, even if you see it time and time again, and, you know, the industry is a bit notorious for having divas, you know, or whatever, but unfortunately it's kind of true. Like, people get this sense of, I don't know what it is, but it's a sense of power or something, or like status thing. And it's kind of strange to see firsthand. And I think you never know what these other people are thinking, and they do, you know, like, there's lots of people in a crew, there's lots of people listening, and it's very hard to, you know, well, it's just, it's kind of, it makes me feel a bit, you know, how can people be like that? But if you're nice to someone, you know, they'll be nice back to you. And I think that's the number one thing in any industry. If you come across as a really great person to work with, and you're professional, but you can also have a laugh, and you'll help other people, they'll help you. And that's the thing that I've found. It might take a while to meet that person or that team that you really gelled with, and that they will do something back for you. But you never know what's going to happen in your life. And, I've started this little business, and then a few people have come to me and gone, hey, yeah, we love working with you. Like, it's, let's do something together, and like, that was just because we hung out for a bit and we all had a good time together. So yeah, that's the main thing for me. Yeah. And meeting new people is always great. And being interested in what they're doing.
Yeah, for sure. I couldn't agree with you more, Jimmy. Honestly, like building networks and connections and like authentic, genuine relationships is something that I love doing. And obviously that's why I launched the podcast, and I'm kind of blown away with, the incredible people like yourself I've got to talk to and share their journey. So yeah, it's such a valuable thing to have and build, and, focus on, being nice and building relationships with people. Definitely. That's key.
Yeah, absolutely.
On touching on that, I heard that Hootabelle is a little bit of a diva.
That's just, wow. This one. No, they both are. All the owls are. All they want to do is look at themselves in the mirror because they are their favourite colours, and they just want to eat our snacks. You should see the backstage riders. It's hopeless.
Yeah, I know. Flying to the moon and stuff. I mean, gee, Giggle Galaxy.
I'm sick. No, you're not. Give me snacks, Jimmy.
Awesome. So I'd love to find out, Jimmy. So what are you most excited about looking into your not too distant future? I know you said you've got your incredible business you've started up, but where do you see your future going in the next 5 or 10 years?
Yeah, I'd love. Look, Giggle and Hoot's always one of those things where something might just be around the corner. We do these national tours, and they come along and they're really amazing, and something else will happen. Like I've just done it's been the Christmas season. It's pretty crazy, and just did a few shows here, there, and everywhere, and zipped off to Adelaide and did a big show there, and it was just a new experience and something a little bit interesting and new. So that's always fantastic. But I've got to be thinking of the future just in case. And who knows how long I'll be doing it for? I'm really not sure, but I do love it. I think in the long run, I'd love to produce something myself. I'd love to, that's why I started this little company with a couple of mates of mine, and we're really interested in producing our own content. Awesome. I think if something doesn't come your way, why don't you make it happen? So that's one of those things that we want to do as well. Like if you've got like a million ideas for TV shows. My notes app in my iPhone is just like so good. Every time you see something like that could be a television show, or that could be this. So maybe one day we'll produce something ourselves instead of relying on someone else to go, hey, you'd be good for that job. In the future as well, I'd love to. I love the kids. I love the kids area as well. And the audience is fantastic. But I have ambitions to entertain, older audiences as well. So perhaps that's on the cards in the future as well.
Definitely,
I'd really love to do that. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. And I've got some people I can introduce you to help you out with that production stuff as well. So I'll definitely set you up with some of that stuff.
For sure.
If you ever come over to Perth, let me know, and I'll love to catch up with you if you're doing a show over here. That'd be cool. Yeah, for sure, man. We haven't been to Perth for a while. Hopefully these tours will get back up. We're just sort of in the process of it. I think the show we've done it for like 5 years. It's a bit old. So we're trying to get a new one up and running. So we didn't do much last year in terms of those live shows. So hopefully this year is a good year for them. And when we always love coming over to Perth and Adelaide as well. You can put it in the same basket. It's kind of, and the Northern Territory, to be honest. We don't get there as often. So East Coast Central. It's easy as well with the, we shoot most of the year round, and it's hard to just, get the couple of weeks off to get west and stuff like that. So, hopefully we'll be at this. We've always had a great reception in Perth. So, hopefully we'll be there soon. I'm sure we will be. Perfect. That'd be awesome. So Jimmy, I'd just love to find out, obviously my podcast tailored to people in their career trying to progress or potentially start their own business. So for anyone who's in the acting field, what do you feel would be 3 to 5 actionable tips that you feel have really helped you out with your career to advance or, potentially to push you through some of those tough times? Yeah, it's a tough one because everyone's story is different, and it's hard in this industry as well because there's so many different sort of little niches, I guess you could call them, like comedy and different genres and different competition. And it's one of the things in the industry as well is if you've got to look apart as well as, which you can't do anything about really. Like if you're
if you're that that sort of chiseled jaw, you're going to get a certain role, right? And if you're a little bit older, you might get a job as well. If you look young, if you look old, if you whatever, all the shapes and sizes and everything. So you kind of got to know yourself. You got to know what roles you're going to get. You got to know, you kind of got to know that. So I think that's one of the key things is to sorry, I think I pulled my thing out. There we go. One of the key things is to know what jobs that you potentially might get. It is a bit cutthroat like that. So if you're this person going for this job which you just don't fit the part for, there's probably no point going for it. There are obviously outliers and stuff like that, but it takes a bit of casting directors have a very strict focus in these things. So I think that's one of those things. The other thing is try to get out there and do it. You can't. I was a bit of a procrastinator in the early days as well, thinking I want to be on television, but I'd never done anything on television. So how was I supposed to think that I'd be good at it? And so I think I had to sort of pull my finger out and do this audition. It was a self-tape thing, and I had to think of something to do. But you could just practice and do that. Now I've got a little setup, which is just right here, I do self-tape things all the time, but it's, even if it's just to prove to yourself that you really want to do that, just get some other scripts and try them out, that's, see if you can, you know what I mean? That's a different medium, or know your medium. I guess people have gone to uni and stuff like that and learnt all those things as well. And make connections. Make connections is a really big one as well. I just go to some community events, go and see how it's done. It's one of those things I always find, which is the same in the theatre. On the resume, on the casting call, it says needs professional, experience.
Yeah,
if you don't have a professional experience, how are you going to get a professional job? It's one of those. It's a catch-22, but you've got to get it somehow.
Exactly.
But it's kind of getting out there and doing it and getting. It's kind of weird. It's a weird industry. When you think what I'm talking about, I'm like, what else?
You're like, what's going on?
I don't know. Get some things down on tape. You have to find an agent. It's one of those things. Agents get the casting calls that you'll need. So you need an agent. Finding someone who's going to get you those things. There's a lot of people out there who have a squillion people on their books, and maybe it's not the right thing. Look at their books and see if there's people that look identical to you. And then they're your competition as well, because if they get a casting call for a 25 to 35-year-old male with a little bit of a beard and bushy eyebrows and there's 4 of you, then you're in competition with the same agency. So
exactly,
it's kind of like, I know you got to take what you got to get when you've got nothing, but I think the biggest thing is just get out there and meet people and do it, and try and if it's doing something yourself, there's so many avenues. Like you're doing a podcast that you can do that with zero money and a webcam. It's the easiest thing in the world. Exactly. YouTube is a great sort of R&D for a lot of places as well. Like networks are scouring YouTube. They do want. There are networks that manage YouTube channels that buy into your network and spread it out. So there's lots of different avenues which are easy. You can shoot with your phone. You can and you can just load it up there, and it's all free. It's also a great rehearsal for what you want to do in the future. Even if it's just 2-minute videos or whatever, it's putting stuff out there and getting other people to watch it, and so you've got something on your show reel as well is one of those things that is invaluable, I think, in the learning process for yourself.
Definitely.
If you're coming from not having much, maybe you're straight out of uni and you've got some connections, but use them, and don't be afraid to get out there and do something.
Yeah, that's awesome advice, Jimmy. And exactly right. So same with mine. Like the power of YouTube and podcasting. So, put it out through those mediums, and it's just grown phenomenally. It's incredible to see how, an idea that you start off with, and how my idea was to offer career advice, obviously, from my business to people who could afford it. And then that's branched out into, a whole new different ball game, which is awesome. So
awesome. That's great. It proves you start doing something, and you'll learn along the way as well. You might do a podcast and go, maybe I need a better camera or something, you know, like, or maybe I need to fix the audio or something, or maybe I don't need to sit so close to the camera, whatever it is. Maybe I was rambling on too much, or maybe I need to, you know, plan it a bit better. You just do, and you learn, don't you?
So true. Yeah. Jimmy, I got a bit of a random question I throw at all my guests. It comes from my career counselling background, and it's called the miracle question. So imagine if you went to sleep tonight and overnight a miracle had occurred. When you woke up the next morning, everything you ever wanted to impact in the world, or anyone you wanted to impact in the world, had come true. There were no financial roadblocks, no mental roadblocks holding you back. What would be that biggest impact you'd love to make on the world, and why would it be so important to you?
Whoa, that's a big one. Look, if I'm thinking about impact, obviously I want to do comedy and stuff, and that sort of doesn't really impact people, just makes them laugh.
It's important. Really.
I know it's important, and that would be something that, I'd love to do. But if I'm talking about impact, there's a few things that are close to my heart, which is some of my family members, and even my wife's, so the in-laws now, sort of like that side of the family has some disabilities. And it's something that I've always had on my checklist, that one day, if I've got the right amount of money or the right cred or whatever it is and the right team behind it, I'd love to produce something that would shed a bit of light and get into the lives of what living with a disability is about. I have an auntie who's got cerebral palsy, and she's probably 45 now or something, and she's just been an inspiration to a lot of people when you actually burn it down and think about it. But I think the main thing, like, that's been done before a squillion times, but I think the biggest thing for me is seeing, it's my dad's sister, my dad with my auntie and his other siblings as well. She watches Giggle and Hoot. It's great. She watches Giggle and Hoot, and she's very, she's got a bit of Asperger's and stuff as well. It's very, regimented, her schedule. And when we go to a family event, she'll be like, it's almost 5 o'clock. You've got to get back into the TV. You better take the Giggle-mobile. Is it here? She's got a mind of like, of a 5-year-old, really. Yeah. Sorry, the dog's barking.
Oh, that's all right.
So it's kind of like this, it's this thing where I'd love to produce some sort of impactful video series it's like following my dad around and the extended family with my auntie, who he what am I saying? He sort of nurtures her naivety, but it's in a way that always makes her laugh. He always has a great time with her. She always has a great time with him. He doesn't, it's not articulating her differences and her disability. It's sort of embracing it and making not light of it, but it's approaching it in a way that's not like, oh no, we can't say that or we can't do that because she's got this time schedule, or it's just having fun and living and treating them as if they're normal, and they are. Yeah, exactly. I went to this. I think she still does, works at this little place for people with disabilities. They do work at this place, and it was years ago. They had a celebration for their 25th birthday or something, and there was a keynote speaker there, and he basically said that the people who are here, the disabled people here, of all their varying intellectual disabilities and physical disabilities, whatever, they're here to teach us a lesson. Yeah. And it's to teach us about being grateful and our lives, and look what they have to deal with every single day, and look how happy they are. Look how much fun they're having. Look, it's a simple life for some of them, like they go to this little work and they're putting things into whatever it is, and they live in a little home and they have a routine, and it's simple, but they're happy. And you don't need everything in the world. You don't need all the money in the world. You don't need everything that's going to make you happy, because that's not true. Happiness is sort of within. And it was so powerful. And I remember that was probably 15 years ago, and I was probably, I think it was longer than that. I was probably only 15 or something when I heard that. And it's always rung true to me. And it's something that I guess seeing my dad with my auntie and my mum and everyone, it's just this different, I don't know. I know that a lot of people, they might look at someone with a disability and go, oh, I don't know what to say, I don't know what to do. But if you approach it in being a human, then you're fine. a lot of you see it all the time. Everyone a bit standoffish, and I think it's just breaking down that wall. And I think I'd love to produce something like that, which would hopefully have impact on these people going through life with these disabilities, but they also have so much grace and fun and laughter.
Man, I'd love to see that, Jimmy, and I can't wait to see that come to fruition. I think that'll be a massive impact on the world, and like you said, really opening people's eyes into a day in the life of what it's like, or how these people live, and how happy they are. Like she said, that what you just said really hit home with me, and it's so true. Like I had the realization a few years ago of the same thing, where I just go, to start with, when you start a business or start something, you just think, I need this money to do this and this. Yeah. And then you kind of just take a step back and just go, I don't need all this. Like, no. I've got, my amazing family and stuff like that. Like, just they came and said hi. Yeah. And that's the most important thing, or thinking about your why, or the reasons why you're doing something, or what's the motivation behind it, is really essential.
Yeah, absolutely. I got a little son, and he's just, it changes your perspective on everything. I feel my mates are having kids now and stuff, and they, the change, it might take a while to realize it a bit, because you've been living for 30 years or whatever in your own little selfish, you didn't know. Yep. You didn't know how, you just do what you want when you want, and it changes. But then it also changes for the better. It makes you realize that I love this, and bringing up a child and living as a family is much more important than all the bells and whistles in life, I guess. Although that'd be nice, it's, not to discredit, working hard and earning good living, but it's, but yeah, it is. If push comes to shove, you'd take A over B. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, that's so true. So, Jimmy, I got a question from someone in the audience from before. Yeah. They wanted to know how you managed to keep up such a high level of energy. Obviously, it's quite a demanding role, having to keep up that energy and put on the tones and pitches and change your voice levels. So, what do you feel are some of the ways that keep you at that high level of energy, or how do you manage to sustain that for that length of time?
Yeah, I think I'm a bit of a kid at heart. I do love having a laugh and a good time, and it kind of comes naturally. There's you hear about actors getting into roles or whatever. I don't know if I'm even acting. I think I'm just being myself.
I love it.
It's kind of come naturally, and the voice thing, that's just grown over the years. No one said you got to have, your octave's got to be 2 times higher or whatever. Yeah. I think through my director saying time and time again, this is like the first time you've ever done this. Yeah. It's like the wildest thing ever, and you're having a great time. So naturally you go, oh, this is awesome, and it just escalates from there. I think Hoot and I compete in the end. We're crazy. But yeah, I don't find it's hard to turn on. I think I'm like that a bit anyway. So I don't know. I have so much fun doing it. The thing about it, whether it's a live audience or or the guys at the ABC, we don't have a studio audience when we're recording the show, so you kind of got to entertain someone. And so I was just trying to entertain myself, the other guys, and the crew. If you make the crew laugh, who've been at the ABC for some of them for 40 years.
Wow.
Then I think you're going to make the kids laugh. So.
Exactly, yeah.
I always just try and you've got to try and make them laugh, and then you're sweet. And it makes me laugh in return. I'm like, I got you.
Yeah, that's a good gauge, I think. I love that you said that. If you can make the guys that have been there for ages and are probably a little bit stale in the role, light into their life, you can make anyone. Awesome. Well,
if you're talking like broad picture, I guess it's like, what do I do for a living? I kind of make kids. It's about the kids on the other end of the camera. So it's kind of easy to be motivated for putting a smile on some little people's faces, that's
definitely,
it's, they're not judgy adults.
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
So you got to, you're like, is this joke working? No, it's just like, you feel something ain't working, you just fall over and throw your shoes up in the air and you get a laugh for sure.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you just go, let's just try something different now.
Yeah, cool, yeah. So it's good fun. I find it an easy motivation to think, it's for these sweet little kids, on the other end of it, who really love watching the show. So, yeah.
Definitely. Awesome. Well, Jimmy, it's been an absolute pleasure getting to chat to you and share your journey. As I say, you're such an inspiration, and it's obviously watching your show every day with the kids it's amazing to see the work that you do. You should be really proud of yourself.
Oh, thanks, mate. No worries. A pleasure. Anytime.
And Jimmy, if anyone wanted to reach out to you, or if you've got any upcoming tours or anything you wanted to get on board with, where would be the best place to get in touch with you?
Yeah, I've just got a website, which is jimmyrees.com.au. Otherwise, I've got a Facebook page, which I'm pretty active on, and Instagram and stuff like that. So just look me up. Jimmy Rees there's like a sort of public Facebook page where you'll probably get lots of pictures of my dog and me and my son. And just silly things, parenting stuff now that I'm doing that.
Awesome.
But I always update, if we're going on tours and stuff like that. So yeah, and you can actually catch Giggle and Hoot on YouTube now, which is
cool.
Which is quite a new thing actually, and it's so reaching a broader audience and stuff like that. So if you miss it during the day, you can jump on, ABC Kids, iView and YouTube, which is really fun too. Yeah,
definitely. And guys, I'll put all the links to that in the show notes. Jimmy, as I said, thank you so much for your time, man. Keep up the amazing work you're doing. I really can't wait to hear about your project coming to fruition of helping and bring to light people disabled work they do and the incredible day in the life of what they go through. I can't wait to see that happen.
No worries, man. Yeah, thanks. All the best with you too, mate. Thanks for this. It was great.
Oh, my pleasure, Jimmy. Thanks again. And guys, stay tuned next week where we've got another incredible guest who's going to help you break through that glass ceiling in your career. So stay tuned then.